Welcome to If This Bar Could Talk, a podcast about bartenders and the stories they have to tell. We'll learn about their creative process, their favorite cocktails, as well as the storied history of cocktails, spirits, and bars. I'm your host, Leanne Sims, along with Blair Beavers. Say hello, Blair.
Hello.
And producer Greg Hansberry. Tonight, we're talking with Chris Spinato from Sidebar. Sidebar is one of my absolute favorite places to go, not just because Chris is a fabulous bartender, and he is, but they also have great food. And best of all, they are the most hospitable place in Columbus, Ohio, I would say. Welcome, Chris Spinato. Thank you for coming tonight.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So one of the stories I like to tell about Sidebar, and I put this in my blog, which nobody reads, but we've covered that before, is you guys are on our cocktail tour, and we were having a cocktail tour one night, and it rained. It was the only time it's ever rained on a cocktail tour. Like, it just doesn't.
And it was torrential.
Yeah,
while
I remember that.
We were at Salt and Pine at the time.
Yeah, and so we had a full group. I think we even overbooked. I think we had like 10 people.
Yeah.
And
there was a bachelorette party and then some sisters.
Yeah, so we had
I do remember it was all female too,
Yeah,
which
it
was a little strange because you guys do a lot of couples with the tours. So.
Yeah. But so we had just a couple of umbrellas, and we actually asked Salt and Pine if we could get the umbrellas from their Lost and Found. So they gave us what they had. We tried to get an Uber, and it was just impossible. I think that a lot of people were calling for an Uber that day. And so we waited till it stopped raining. It wasn't all the way stopped, but enough that we could walk down to Sidebar, which is not a long walk. But so we walk in, and Tirsa, the owner, was standing there with towels so that our guests could dry off. And of course, Chris had his welcome punch that he likes to make, and then and that it was just a fabulous time. And I just always, that's just so cool. You guys are just all about customer service, and as soon as you sit down, you have someone bringing you water, and you guys are so attentive, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Well, thank you.
How long have you been there?
5.5 years now. So you say it like that, it sounds, where did it go? But I started 5.5 years ago. I got hired on April 1st, which was it's a funny reaction on an April Fool's Day. Somebody tells you you're hired, and you hope they're not playing like the meanest joke in the world on you. They weren't. But I went over there from my previous bar on campus where I had been for, I think, 5 or 6 years prior to that. So
Okay. So when did you get your start, and where did you get your start in bartending?
I've probably been doing this for like 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and worked my way up from doing things like, I was door guy number 2 at my first job in college, and door guy number 2 doesn't even get to handle the money. He just checks the IDs. I didn't do anything important, and they were just busy one night, and they were like, "We need somebody to pour shots and beers. Just Chris, get up here. Just do shots of beers. Just find out who needs one and get them." And I'm like, "All right, whatever. I'm just trying to help out and stem the tide or whatever." And they must have done a good enough job. So I came in the next day, and they're like, "All right, we'll train you. We'll get you, maybe like 2 shifts a week, and that with your door guy number 2 job. Still not good enough to come up to door guy number 1. That'll be your job here."
Was that here in Columbus?
No, it was out of town when I was in college. So.
Oh, wow. So when did you get that spark that you knew that this is what you wanted to do?
Maybe after I'd been doing it for a few years, the money was good, and I had floated around a few different places, from when I've been in Columbus. I was at a nightclub for a while, which was actually not too far from here. That building's torn down now, though. I was at a hotel, which is not too far from here. went to an LGBT bar for a while, and never really found anything that was like great to sink my teeth into. And when I finally got my place on campus, I was kind of starting to see this can be a career. It, was kind of tickling me on there's a sales component to it, there's a hospitality component to it, there's a culinary component to it. And as I went through more of that and then progressed into Sidebar, once everyone else saw what I was doing there, they were like, oh, I get it now. He's not just, it's not just shots and beers, and not that there's anything wrong with that kind of work.
Sure.
But they understood, oh, this is like a career type thing. So.
Right. So you must have done a lot of research, because what we know about you in visiting your bar often is that you know everything about everything with regard to spirits. Like every spirit,
yeah.
I bet I could name a spirit. Just name a random spirit, Blair, and he could tell you the story behind it.
Green chartreuse.
So Carthusian monks goes back to the 1600s in France. Two monks in the order carry the half of the recipe through each generation, and of course, this goes back to when monasteries created spirits. Champagne is another example of that, where Benedictine for Benedictine monks and on and so forth. And over 100 different herbs, flowers, and spices, wonderful with gin cocktails, wonderful with rum cocktails, great with whiskey cocktails, great by itself. So
Yeah, see, I knew you would know all about it. And you know all about cocktails, too, the classic cocktails. You know when they were invented. As much as you can know.
Yeah,
there's like
some of
10
these things are
stories.
a little, apocryphal or what you may. And some things, we can go back and we can say, well, we have the first printing of the martini in, 1830 or whatever, from a bottle of Martini and Rossi that goes back however long or whatever. Is that the first example of a martini? Who knows? Doesn't matter necessarily. Who cares? It's in your glass now, and I think that's what's the most important part.
It's so fun though to read about the history of it.
Sure.
It's just so cool. There's just such a rich history with spirits and with cocktails. So it's just really fun. Who inspired you? Do you have someone who inspired you, a bartender or?
A lot of people did. From people I've worked with to people who I've just admired from their work, whether you follow them, on television or in print or on the internet or whatever. Just a few people like that would be maybe Joe Brook, who was from LA at the Formosa. Somebody like Giuseppe Gonzalez, who was in New York and at a few different bars there and had his own bar there, and then just recently moved out to Las Vegas at Herbs and Rye, and now at Cleaver, which just opened. Also Nectali Mendoza on that same front. There's a lot of people who I draw a lot of inspiration from, and honestly, just some, even that are not even part of the quote unquote cocktail scene. I think it's like a lot of if you're a musician or anything else, you pick pieces or things that you might admire, and you incorporate that into how you do your thing, and then that's how you form your style, I think.
What is your creative process like? When I know you have a seasonal menu, how do you collaborate with your other bartenders? Do you mainly handle it yourself? And what do you do?
Usually my goal is to be a little bit more solicitous of the staff. Especially since I've been there for 5.5 years now. Not that I've exhausted my creativity, but it's certainly time for the rest of the staff to contribute to that as well. I've had more than enough, cocktails on the menu that more of my creation. I'm more interested in, helping them come along and, who's going to be me whenever it's time for me to move on or whatever. So it's a more of a collaborative process.
Wait, you're not moving on though, right?
Not yet. Columbus is not rid of me yet.
Good. We're glad. So what is your favorite spirit to work with? Do you have one in particular that you like?
I honestly, I don't know that I have a favorite single. I have a few. Gin, of course, is probably one of the most versatile. beyond something like vodka maybe. But I always say whatever vodka does well, gin does better. Just because, whereas, generally speaking, vodka is going to be a neutral spirit, gin is going to have a ton of other flavors that are going to grab all the flavors that you're mixing with. And that combination is really where you find the individual spaces. And
I always say most vodkas are like the iceberg lettuce of spirits, so why bother? But
well, and it's, I'm not going to, drink shame anybody who prefers a vodka drink. If you do, I'd love to make it for you. I'd love to get your tips from it too. But, it's just one of those things that often becomes, the better the vodka is, the less it tastes like anything, or the less it smells like anything. That's what you like, it's certainly fine. I love tequila cocktails. Tequila is a wonderful spirit because there's, the different offerings of things like reposados and añejos, and going on into the extra añejos and things like that. It's, again, a little like gin, where you can grab a lot of different flavors with what you're mixing.
so you're a sober bartender.
Yes.
When did you become sober?
Say almost 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what is that like? How do you develop cocktails when you can't really taste them, or do you taste them? Or
I think there's a difference between, drinking and tasting. If I take a straw test of something, you'll never see me take a sip from a glass on something. But if you see me take a straw test, I'm tasting. I'm, trying to make sure, is this right? Is it, on? You have other senses too that will help you out with that. Your nose should be all right. Most of what you taste is what you smell. So, but honestly, that's one facet of it. For the rest of the shift, beyond just creating cocktails, you have to be sober for it. I don't know that you can do this job, blind drunk. Of course, I certainly exhausted every effort in trying, but it's just not something I don't think that being drunk has any part in being a bartender. It doesn't, I said once when I saw a guy getting a fight during a football game, it was a football player, he's fighting another player. I'm like, what are you doing? There's no fighting in football. It doesn't make you run faster. It doesn't make you catch the ball. It doesn't make you, block better. It doesn't make you tackle better. It literally has no part in the game. Being drunk doesn't have a part in your shift.
Yeah.
I don't see how you could be cash secure that way, or hospitable that way, or reliable that way. So, but like I said, I'm not here to run anybody down for it. Like I said, I certainly exhausted every shift I could that way. So.
Well, I imagine it's an easy thing to slip into because you're getting off late. You have your shift drink. You have your other friends who are getting off of work.
Sure.
I imagine it's tough, and you're around it all day. And I know I love my cocktails.
Sure.
So.
I think different people arrive at alcoholism, and different people arrive at substance abuse in different ways. The same way I think, I arrived at sobriety a different way. And I think that those things look very differently to different people. And, for whatever sober means to one person, it may not mean that to me. I've seen things that say, like, a sober person should not drink non-alcoholic beer because it's still, the mimicking of the act or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know that that's true. I think if you chew the nicotine gum, you've obviously quit cigarettes or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, it was about, I had no ability to manage my stress, and being in a management role for the better part of 10 years at two different bars, it got to be something where I wasn't coping with my stress very well. I wasn't handling my personal life very well. I became a pathetic drunk about it, and eventually you stop even trying to solve your problems and you really just start looking for problems. Every reason why you drank becomes the excuse to drink. And that wasn't going to work anymore. And, it wasn't going to be anything that it wasn't sustainable past a certain point.
Yeah. Is there support for bartenders who choose to be sober?
for some people, you might pursue therapy, which is what I did. If you pursue AA, much power may it do you. I certainly know a lot of people for whom that works. It's not something I did. But, to each their own. Like I said, it looks like different things to different people, and it is different things to different people, I think. For me, I have several bartender friends, whether we're just online friends or whether we're, in-person friends, where I would text them. I remember the first 24 hours I got sober, I sent a Facebook message to Giuseppe Gonzalez, who, like I said, is somebody who I've admired as, somebody who can be great. You're talking about somebody who was nightclub and bars bartender of the year, I think just last year, and be sober. And he's, I think, 4 or 5 years sober now. And I sent him a message, and I was like, look, man, I got to get help, and I need your advice on how to do this. How do I do this in this business? What does that even look like? And, he was busy that day. He has kids. He had a business to run, but he took the time to reply. And then he asked me, he said, do you think you can not drink today? And I said, yeah, I can do that. I said, all right, man, if you need AA, it's there. If you need help, it's there. Reach back out to me. And I've, stayed in contact with him, with, Brian Maxwell, who's off in New York now, other friends of mine who are just, if you're having a bad day, if you're having I'm starting to get that feeling, or, it's been a long time, maybe I can handle this. You can't, and you don't. Yeah. So you just reach out to people. And I think the thing that you fear when you first get sober is, I can't do this by myself. Mm-hmm. The nice part is you don't have to. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh, that's great. Support is great. Well, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, because
Yeah,
I
of course.
think
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, one of the things I read was bartender from the Dead Rabbits, Jack McGarry. He posted something about, he had to get sober almost the same time I did, and he said, I can have my career or I can be drunk, but I can't have both. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you're talking about, the Dead Rabbits, which is, right. Spirited Awards, they have their plates. And,
sure.
If those are your goals, whether it's Spirited Awards or, that type of worldwide recognition, or even if it's just to have a great place here locally, which is my goal right now, mm-hmm. You can't do those things and be as drunk as we were.
Right.
So.
Right. Wow. So speaking of drinking, though, you're going to make us a cocktail?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you going to make us?
I thought I would make a Negroni Spogliato. The Negroni Spogliato is a cocktail that's very important to me because it's actually the cocktail that got me my job at Sidebar. In my first my interview over there, the bar manager previous to me, John Tyler, he was like, I don't know, you've had a lot of campus experience, you've had a lot of volume bartending experience. I don't know if that's necessarily right for here. We do need somebody. You have a lot of experience. I just don't know that you'd be a fit. Here's what you can do. You don't have to do it. Don't feel pressured, but I'd love for you to make me a cocktail. And I knew from some mutual friends that we had that John likes Negronis. And so I was like, all right, well, I love this drink. It's the Negroni Spogliato. I'd love to make it for you. So I make it for him. He tries it. He goes, all right, pretty passable. We sit down, we talk a little more. He kind of takes a pause, takes another sip of his cocktail, and he goes, I mean, basically at this point, I'm just bullshitting with you. You've got the job. I mean,
that's awesome.
Oh, thank God. And he was like, well, he makes pretty passable Negroni. It can't be that bad. So it's a cocktail that's also a nice low ABV offering too. You can do it with the Prosecco. That's not that big gin bite to it. Mm-hmm. And you can scale it up for a party. So if anybody listening has a party at home, you can do it as a large format or in a punch bowl, or if you just want to make one or two.
Okay, yeah. Great. Well, we're going to take a break right now. We're going to make a cocktail, and we will be right back. All right, and we're back with a, how do you say this, Chris?
The Negroni Spogliato,
Negroni Spigliato.
which is like, in translation, it's like wrong Negroni.
Wrong Negroni. And so tell us the recipe.
So it's equal parts Campari to sweet vermouth. Today we're using Carpano Antica, which is the oldest sweet vermouth, older than the country that we're in right now. So,
Wow.
and top it off with Prosecco. And I garnish yours with some dehydrated oranges.
How do you make your dehydrated oranges?
We just have a dehydrator at work. It's actually the similar model to the one that they have at the Aviary in Chicago.
So that as a bartender, you peel off the orange peel to make your garnish, so then so as not to waste the orange.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just another way of finding more use for a given product. One of the things I'm kind of very, very, very happy about at work right now is we're switching to all reusable straws. So no more disposable straws, and we're using a lot of dehydrated fruit. Most of the skin fruit winds up getting juiced, and the ones that can't just get dehydrated. So
Wonderful. All right. Well, cheers, everyone. Ching.
Cheers. That's good.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it gives you a lot of that Negroni flavor that you're usually accustomed to, the bitter, dry, boozy, but it doesn't give you that real sharp gin kick because of the effervescence of the Prosecco taking its place. And like I said, the nice thing about that is you can scale it up as big or as small as you want. So if you wanted to make just a few like we did, you can, or you can also do it as a punch. And I've seen a video of Jacques Bizanut do a video of it for liquor.com where he dumps a whole bottle of Campari in, the whole bottle of sweet vermouth in, the whole bottle of Prosecco, throw your fruit on top, got your ice in there.
I love that. That's easy.
Little fresh spices, and great for the summertime, great for the wintertime, depending on what spice.
Refreshing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's for me like a cross. It's kind of like a really delicious Aperol Spritz. I mean, I love Aperol Spritz, but this is like that, only better.
It's a little sharper than the Aperol. Aperol is a tad sweeter and a tad wetter than Campari. One of my favorite things to do with Campari is to make a Campari sugar, where you just let the moisture out of the Campari evaporate, and you can do that in the dehydrator as well if you choose. And then when it crystallizes, you just scrape it off the plate, grind it in your mortar and pestle, or put it on a coffee grinder.
What do you mean when you say it's wetter? Do you mean the finish?
Like it's not as dry. So it's...
But it's a liquid, so are you talking about
it's funny you mentioned that. I saw a meme the other day where somebody said, I'll take a martini very dry, and it's the guy's first day bartending. He looks at all the liquid ingredients. He goes, buddy, I don't know how to tell you this. So again, in that kind of respect, where it's not quite as boozy or as spirituous. It's Aperol is, almost like the Campari Light, if you would. A similar flavor profiles, a lot of similar ingredients, and it can be used in somewhat similar ways.
Wow, it's really delicious. I love the smell of the dehydrated orange.
Yeah, and the Negroni Fuomo, which we serve at Sidebar as well, uses the dehydrated oranges. Only we toast those with a torch before we serve it. And I think when you toast those dehydrated oranges, it kind of almost gives you the smell of like toasted marshmallows.
Yeah.
Those sugars really come alive that way, and it's super aromatic that way. So
at Sidebar, you have a little thing called Tapas Tuesday.
yes,
Tell us
the
about
Tapas
that.
Tuesday. It's probably our most popular happy hour every week, right there neck and neck with Fridays. And basically how it works is it's complimentary chef's choice tapas from 5 to 7 with your beverage purchase. So you come in at 5 p.m., maybe 10, 15 minutes sooner if you want to make sure you have a seat, and get your regularly priced cocktail. But then you get the complimentary tapas for 2 hours, and it's usually like 6 courses. And that'll kind of get you from a soup or a salad course all the way through to dessert.
It is amazing. You feel like royalty because you don't even have to ask for your stuff. They bring it to you.
It just shows up.
I mean, I always liken it to like being at like a really great cocktail party, you know, where you might have a waiter come around with, you know, like hors d'oeuvres or whatever. And I mean, they're tapas, they're small plates. So you can, you know, even if you had all the 6 tapas and you wanted to have more, you could. You know, if you wanted to order something more, you're certainly free to. I'm not going to talk you out of it.
Right.
But it's a nice way to sample a lot of different flavors. It's great if you're going to have, you know, a few friends with you and, you know, maybe, you know, 2-3 cocktails. You guys can all kind of compare notes. So I had this and I tasted this and it kind of went with this thing better. Oh, I thought it went with this thing better. And it's nice that way.
It's so fun. It's a great thing. And you do have to get there early. Otherwise, you will not get a seat.
It fills up very quickly. I always tell people, you know, if you're going to bring in a group, call ahead. If you're going to bring a group, you know, make a reservation or whatever. And, you know, do not underestimate how fast that place will fill up. Sometimes people, you know, kind of think, well, it's Sidebar. It's rather large. You know, we have 2 floors and private event space and the whole thing like that. And it's like, no, man, you're not thinking, you're not thinking this through. So it does fill up very quickly.
Well, you have to sit at the bar for Tapas Tuesday, don't you?
The bar, but we also have the bar high top tables and then the patio as well. So
it extends to the patio too.
Yeah, because the bartenders serve the patio out there.
That's nice. Yeah, you got to get there early, and because some people, well, most people, when they get there, they stay there for the entire time.
Typical, yeah. It's always funny. We always call it like the mass exodus. You know, 7 o'clock rolls around. I'm ready to cash out. I'm ready to cash out. I'm ready to cash. Okay, guys.
Well, and here's what I want people to know about that. And this is also in my blog that no one reads. It's important to tip appropriately for something like that because you could have one cocktail and be full with food, and then people think that they only have to tip based on that one cocktail. That is so wrong. Happy hour tipping is different. You don't tip based on your bill. You base your tip on what your bill would have been. And sometimes, you know, people will say, well, how am I supposed to know? You guesstimate, and you know that if you've been sitting there for 2 hours, you should not just be leaving a $3 tip.
Yeah, I mean, this gets into like a long conversation about the you know, the merits of the tipping system and, you know, where that comes from, you know, whether we agree with that history or we don't, how that relates to how, you know, today's service industry employees, the financial realities that they face and things like that. You know, I think I'm probably with Pam Wisnitzer when I say if you got rid of tipping, I'd probably go find something else to do for a living. But, you know, it is one of those things sometimes where people don't necessarily appreciate that, you know, what is industry standard, like a 20% tip, you know, that buck of beer thing that maybe you did when you were in college, or, you know, you might do at your favorite, you know, neighborhood dive bar or whatever, which, you know, God, I love those places. But it's just not the same thing for, you know, a cocktail that you're getting served and then you're getting complimentary food on top of it.
People need to think of it as they're getting a discount on the product, not the service.
Sure.
And so they're still receiving the same level of service. And 20% should be your baseline, not your highest level of tip. That should be your baseline. And if you can't afford that, that's okay. Stay home or go to a buck of beer place, which is great.
Yeah, and God love those places. You know,
Right.
There's, you know, you have a place like, say, like the Hybeck that's been around for however many years that it's been around, and they do a great job. But even at that, you know, you think of a night that they do like the free pizza night on Mondays, and I'll bet you they have people come in and get either nothing or the cheapest possible thing, tip $1, and then stay there for hours and eating, you know, all kinds of free food. You know, this is our job, and, you know, sometimes these people are not necessarily, you know, overly employed or you know, getting always the hours that they need, and sometimes those realities need to be acknowledged.
Right.
When, you know, when you're looking at your bill and it's not, you know, $25 a drink, it's, you know, $3 or $4 for your beer, or, you know, $10 for your cocktail. I mean,
Yeah.
I think those things need to be considered.
Yeah. I agree. I totally agree. So do you have any stories that you want to share with us from all your years on the stick?
I mean, every shift is its own story, I think. I don't know. What are we looking at rating wise for this podcast?
Whatever you want to say.
NC-17. All right. We already have the parental guidance thing on iTunes.
Okay,
so.
good. Well, then that makes this easier. It's funny because this is a story we were just revisiting the other day, and this was a very weird night. Like I said, we have 2 floors at Sidebar, and usually the second floor is devoted to private event space. Great friend of the bars was having a party up there, and his son had been on this kind of a homophobic thing all night, just really kind of like, well, you think that's right. Do you really think that's right? Is that really okay with you? Is that really something you believe? And really kind of, coming across, not necessarily as a wonderfully tolerant person, to put it mildly. And, maybe like 5 drinks in, 6 drinks in, he comes up to the bar and he asks one of the bartenders, he's like, so like, let me ask you a question, man. It's like, you ever had like a customer like offer to like take you in the bathroom and like blow you or something? He's like, what? Like tonight, like, have you ever had anybody like come up to, like, a really like masculine dude, not like one of these gay guys, but like a masculine? It's like, are you asking for something, buddy? Like, what's going on here? Simultaneously, one of my bartenders who was off shift and brought in some friends of his on their bachelorette party. He had obviously made a few stops that evening. And, liquor flows, wine flows, and people start getting a little comfortable, a little amorous. And maybe he decided to defile my bathroom with the bride-to-be. While both of these stories are going on, I got this couple that's sitting at the bar, and the woman's kind of getting a little fidgety in her seat, and they've been kind of acting strange. And I see this guy; he's got this clicker in his hand. It's one of these remote control panties kind of gimmicks or something. And I'm like, this is the most. What is going on right now?
Full moon.
Yeah, it must have been, because I like the confluence of the 3 at once is like, how does that, 1 in one night is enough? And like, that's 3 simultaneously. And one of the guys from upstairs came down, told me about what had happened upstairs. Those guys offering to blow me in the bathroom. Oh, really? Well, you might have to wait for that bathroom because I got my other guy in there and he's got the bride-to-be. Really? What's going on down here? It seems kind of slow. Oh, yeah, it would be, except, Mr. and Mrs. over here got a remote control panties going on. My bartender, Zach, who's at Nightcap now, Zach, if you're listening, hello. Zach looks at me and he's like, what the hell is going on tonight? I'm like, man, I don't even have the foggiest. I mean, it's just one of the things that's really kind of, it's a crazy example, but that's really kind of the example of what I love about this business is every day is different. You have routines, of course, but every day is different and every guest is different. And I think when you treat every day as different and you treat every guest as different, you kind of, like you said, you're in the interest of being hospitable, in the interest of providing great service and a memorable experience. Mm-hmm. People don't owe it to you to come through that door ever. And given what I've talked about, certainly having worn myself out on drinking at work and things like that, you have to appreciate that people come in and patronize you, and especially your regulars, but also new people. You only get, 2 minutes from the time they come in to the time they should be getting their first drink, to make a great impression and to really create a great experience. And they do not owe it to you to walk through that door. So you really have to treat them right, and it has to mean something to you. And I think that if I give nothing else to my staff at work, it's, guys, make sure you provide this experience to people. Because
do you give them any advice on like how do you deal? I know there are difficult people in the
Sure.
world, and you've done everything that you can to give them the best service that you can, but they're still unhappy. They're still these bitchy people. How do you train your staff to deal with that?
I'm not sure that there's always a positive resolution to every conflict. I mean, sometimes there just isn't. The great line from that movie Cocktail, which every bartender has heard. Oh, you're like Cocktail. You're like Tom Cruise. Yeah. All right. We need a new movie, guys. we really need a new movie. But the great line from that movie is, "Things end badly, otherwise they wouldn't end," and it's true. If somebody comes in and they have a bad attitude, or they're just ready to have a bad reaction, okay, I'm probably not going to talk you out of it. If you come in with a good attitude, I'm probably going to do everything I can to make sure that you do have a good experience. But probably a lot of that comes from yourself. Mm-hmm. If you're very upset with service and everything, I'll try everything within my power to make that right for you. If everything within my power is falling short of that, I really can't do much else for you. I know a ton of great bartenders and a ton of great bars in town. I'm happy to send you over there. I don't know that they'd always be happy to have you, but depending on who you are and the interaction that we've had, maybe I might send you to different places.
It's like the boomerang, but only with your customers.
Yeah, and honestly, that goes the other way too. Where if I have a really great guest who comes in and has a really great time, and they're maybe being a little liberal with that green paper that we're here for. Hey, why don't you go see my friend, this used to be Seth because he was right around the corner.
Right.
Or go see the guys at Curio. Or, even a place like, go to 185.
Yeah.
What a great bar. Like,
right.
If you, I don't know if you guys been in there lately, but like, I say this every time I'm there, and I have lunch there a lot. And I always say, what have you had to change about this place? Almost nothing. And it's been open since the 50s, and it's probably going to be open another 50 years or whatever. Like, what a great place. Like, go in there, treat those guys right, because they're certainly doing everything they can to give you a great experience over there. So.
Right. And the boomerang that I mentioned for our listeners who don't know, tell us what the boomerang is.
So the boomerang is not a specific drink, but it is a drink that you would send with a guest who's maybe making a bar hop. Although I've seen some very, very, very long distance boomerangs. I'm talking like people sending ones from Columbus down to New Orleans, or from Columbus to New York, or from New York and back. And it's just kind of a tradition amongst different bartenders. A way of saying hello to a bar friend. I do remember, this is another funny story with a guest, and he was at Denmark previously, and I'd sent a couple of boomerangs to Denmark, and I'm like, man, I'm not sending them anything else. These guys never send me anything. And Gary sent them back with a boomerang when they came into my place, and he had put it in a glove, a rubber glove, like a
surgical glove.
A surgical glove.
Yeah, that he had tied off. He sent me a message on my phone, like, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever drunk in my life, and believe me, that covers some ground. And it was like olive brine and spicy, and like I don't know. He must have found like maybe like some old Malort and toilet duck to throw in there or something. It was really unpleasant. And I was like, this is the grossest thing I've ever tasted in my life. And he replied with, "It's wonderful, no?" So, I mean, it's a nice way to play a fun practical joke on your friends, too. But usually it's a little more congenial than all that, whether it's I used to send off a lot of half Chinar, half green chartreuse, or which is, the old Tony's Getaway from the Curio guys, or the half Fernet Branca, half Branca Menta, those are a lot of fun to send off, kind of industry handshake kind of things.
But then you just put it in any kind of vessel, a jar, or
anything that's sealable, of course. You can't send an open container off premises and all that. But an old tonic bottle will work. A ramekin for your to-go stuff, like your to-go salad dressings. You can use those too. So
And then the customer takes it to the next bar, and then the bar makes a cocktail from what you brought.
yes, or they can have it for themselves.
Or they can have it for themselves. That's fun. That's fun. So tell us where Sidebar is located and what the hours are.
Okay, so we are at 122 East Main, not very far from here. Happy hour runs 3 to 7 Monday through Friday, except of course on Tapas Tuesday, which is 5 to 7, as we talked about. On Saturdays we have no happy hour, but dinner service begins at 5 p.m. Usually, I would say we're probably wrapping up around 11 o'clock Monday through Friday, and maybe midnight on Saturday.
Wow. And when are you there?
Most every day, but usually I would say you can catch me behind the bar Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
All right. Chris Spinato, we love you. Thanks so much for doing what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing our podcast tonight.
Of course.
And that's it for our podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us and review us. Tell all of your friends. Also, check out our cocktail tour at columbuscraftcocktailtour.com. You'll find dates and tickets there. Thank you to our producer, Greg Hansberry. And thank you to the band The Biographer for our original music that they composed and performed. Thank you, The Biographer. And Blair.
Please remember to drink responsibly, tip appropriately, as we mentioned, and always be cocktail curious.
Cheers.
Cheers.